So we're going to talk about the yucky part in the cloud. Without understanding this, you are not going to get very far. So let's get it over with. This is a typical house network that you're used to seeing. Like most people do not talk between machines, but it is possible. And typically you would have a router that you set up inside your house to connect to the internet, and the same router is connected to all your machine. Basically, when you start your machine, you can either have a physical connection, which doesn't happen these days very often, but you will have a wireless connection that talks to this router. When you talk from machine 1 to machine 2, it goes to the router and sends a request to machine 2. When machine 2 sends a response, it goes to the router, and from there it goes to your machine. Like there is no direct communication. The router is always in the middle. Same thing with the internet connections. When you ask to go to the internet, the router sends the request to the internet whenever a response comes from the internet. Like when you say Google, type google.com, you get a web page on your machine. So request is google.com, went to the router, went to the internet. Internet sent a response through the router, it went to your machine, and it showed you that whatever result you wanted to see. So two things to take away from here. One, your router establishes a virtual network boundary. Basically, the only people that can connect to this network, this is basically a network, the only people that can connect to this network are the people who have the password to the wireless router. If you don't have that wireless router password, nobody else from outside can connect to this. And that's basically our home networking idea, and that's how I protect our assets if it is properly configured, which most of the time it's not, but let's not get into that. So in the cloud, the exact same concept is implemented using a virtual concept called VPC. Just like the hardware machine, everything could be on the same machine, it could be on multiple machines, but Amazon implements this same kind of router password picture, but not exactly using password. It just gives you a place that you can say, okay, this is my network. Uh, and that logical construct is called the VPC. Inside this VPC, you create your machines, like let's say machine A, machine B, machine C. Once again, there will be a construct. This will be a logical construct called a router that will be used for the talking intercommunication between these machines. Now, something to note here, I have named these machines A, B, and C, but I could change their names to D, E, and F. But the router needs a consistent way to identify these machines, and that comes with a numeric term called IP address, which we'll discuss in the next slide. But this is something similar that Amazon gives us in the cloud. How it's implemented, we don't have to go and find out, but it's very analogous to what you're used to seeing at your house. And this is constrained. The machines from the outside world cannot talk to this network, and this network, the machine inside it, cannot talk outside unless you provide provisions. And everybody needs a network. Everybody needs internet. So for internet at home, the router does both, going out to the internet as well as communication between the machines inside your house. But in VPC, you create a separate construct called internet gateway, and you route the traffic. You have to explicitly route the traffic to go to that particular gateway for an individual machine that you want to give internet access to. So in this case, only machine A has access to the internet gateway, while B and C won't have that access. So the takeaway from here is you can establish a very similar thing. And when we set up a network at house, our concern is somebody outside should not be able to connect to our computers from outside. VPC is very similar concept where you get a network boundary inside which you can place your machines. At house, you use a single device to connect to the network, to connect to the internet, and the inter-PC communication. In VPC, you will have different constructs for doing the same thing. And there are more of these, but that we'll get to later. For now, all you need to know is the router for inter-VPC communication between the computers inside a VPC and going to the internet, you will have to create a structure called Internet Gateway. And whichever machine you attach it to, only those will be able to talk to internet. The others won't be able to talk to the internet. And the IP addressing, the router needs a way to communicate with these machines without being concerned about the names which we give. So it needs a physical address that it can refer to at all times, and that's what we'll talk in the next slide.